Okay, we are moving into the first part of solving inequalities. And in order to solve, as our standard states, in order to solve two-step and multi-step inequalities, we need to know how to solve and graph one-step inequalities. So that's your learning target today. You can solve and graph a one-step inequality. So you want to get the variable alone by doing the inverse, always. And I think that's from chapter 2. And most students already know, okay, I use algebra to get the variable by itself. And then you graph it. The only difference is there's not an equal sign, it's an inequality this unit. So you're not going to have one answer, you're going to have a number line of answers. So let's solve and graph the following. -2 plus x is less than or equal to 4. What do I need to move?
-2.
How do I move a -2?
Add 2.
I add 2 to both sides of the inequality, and I get x is less than or equal to 6. Then I have a colored in circle at 6, and I go to the left.
Left. I like left.
Okay, and this is just like your warm-up, where a lot of kids think that you would add 3 to move that 3, but you're not gonna. Remember that is minus a negative turns to plus plus. So this is really y plus 3 is greater than or equal to 6. The inverse of adding 3 is to subtract 3. And you get y is greater than or equal to 3. Colored in circle at 3, going to the right. A plus a -13 is greater than -6. So I need to move that -13. How do you move a -13?
Add.
I add 13 plus 13 plus 13. So it's the same thing as unit 2, except now it's an inequality symbol instead of an equal sign. I subtract these because they're different. What's 13 minus 6?
7.
A is greater than 7. So I have an open circle at 7, not colored in, going to the right. And then z plus a -5 is greater than or equal to -12. I'm going to plus 5. I'm going to plus 5. And I get z is greater than or equal to -12 plus 5. You subtract them. That would be 7, and there's more negatives. So greater than or equal to -7. Colored in circle at -7, going to the right.
You should just do that for us today.
We should just do that for.
Okay, so that is target number 1. Adding or subtracting. But then sometimes you have the variable on the right-hand side. Remember, that's a flipped one. So what I would do if my variable's on the right-hand side is just normally do it, and then remember that it goes in that opposite direction when you're making that on the number line. Just cross out this 2 because that is next unit. So I really have -4 is less than 2x. Notice my variable's on the opposite side. So how do I move that 2? Divide by 2. Divide by 2. And I get -2 is less than x. So a circle at -2. And then if -2 is smaller than x, that means x is bigger than -2. Now remember, you could use that arrow point trick the arrow really would go that way. However, x is on the opposite side, so the arrow is going to go that way. Here's another plus plus situation.
I thought you said to cross out the 12.
X minus a negative 12. This turns to plus plus, x plus 12. And then you would minus 12, minus 12.
Oh,
Oh no, I'm not going to have room to graph this.
Oh, ew.
Negative 10 minus 12 is a negative 22.
Oh,
Is
shit.
bigger than x. That's okay, because you might get answers like this. I'll show you how I scale my number line when it's something ginormous like this. I just usually write the number, negative 22, 23, 24, 21, 20, 19, negative 18. So you don't need a full out number line. And then I would have a circle at negative 22, and then careful for direction. If negative 2 is bigger than x, that means x is smaller than negative 22. And we're not going to do that second one either, or that last one I should say, because that's a two-stepper, and we are in the learning target of one step. So you just solve it as normal and graph your equation.
Oh, word problems.
Inequality. All right, let's say that you are selling Heggy's Pizza for a fundraiser. Your goal is to sell at least 50 pizzas. You sold 5 on Monday and 7 on Wednesday. Write and solve an inequality that represents how many more pizzas you must sell to meet your goal. So here, I write my initial goal. My goal is pizza needs to be bigger than or equal to 50, right? I want to sell at least 50. That means I want to be more than 50 or equal to 50. So that means I know that this needs to be on the right-hand side. I want it bigger than or equal to 50. And then let's see, I sold 5 on Monday, so 5 pizzas. Plus, I sold 7 on Wednesday. Plus, the rest of the pizzas that I need. How many more pizzas? Plus, pizzas has to be bigger than or equal to 50. Do you see where all those numbers came from? So the 5 pizzas I sold, plus the 7 pizzas I sold, plus the other pizzas I have to sell need to be bigger than or equal to my goal of 50. And then I don't know how you want to solve this. You could either turn this to 12 plus p and then move the 12, or you can move the 5 and then move the 7. However works best for you. I do this, and then subtract 12. And p needs to be bigger than or equal to 38. I need to sell 38 more pizzas, at least. Okay. Next one, borrowing money. You want to owe your parents no more than $200 because they're making you pay it back. So you want your money to be more than 200 or less than 200?
More than.
Less. I want to owe them less than 200. So I want to be less than or equal to $200. You borrowed $20 on Friday for open gym, so $20. And then another $50 to go to Valley Scare, plus $50. Write and solve an inequality that represents how much more money you can borrow, plus M, money. So my $20 plus my $50 plus what has to be smaller than or equal to 200. Again, you can move your 20 and then your 50, so minus 20, then minus 50. But I combine them myself. So this would be 70 plus M has to be smaller than or equal to 200. My money that I can borrow has to be less than or equal to $130 more. Okay? And that's your target today.
Really?